Investiture of the Gods, Chapter 68.
The source itself, it really jumps right in. It opens with this incredible poem that frames the entire war. It's not just conquest. It's presented as, a moral act ordained by heaven itself.
And the language is almost shockingly high-minded, isn't it? It uses this phrase, 修养方子, which refers to principled refusal, like Boi and Shuki who starved rather than served the zoo.
Exactly. It's extraordinary.
So the poem uses the integrity of people who opposed the zoo to somehow justify the zoo campaign itself.
It's a brilliant rhetorical move, really. It argues this war is about establishing gang chaining, the core moral standards, the basic relationships that hold society together.
Right.
The idea is, if you lose everything. But if you win, you achieve lasting fame, righteousness. An honorable person naturally attains honor, as it says. Give the whole thing a cosmic weight.
Which leads us directly into those unavoidable prophecies you mentioned.
Right, the unavoidable prophecy.
This creates such dramatic tension, you know? The spiritual masters, they know the fates of their disciples joining the campaign, but they can't just spell it out.
No, they can't. It would break the rules, maybe alter destiny in the wrong way. So they speak in riddles, basically. They offer a gatha, a kind of sacred poetic verse.
Just enough warning to salve their conscience, perhaps.
Probably, but vague enough that destiny still takes its course.
So who was the first general to approach his master for this kind of guidance?
That was Xuan Tianhua, a very powerful, very heroic figure. He asks his master, the true lord of purity and virtue, about his future.
And the master knows his fate?
Oh, yes. The master knows Xuan Tianhua is destined for an imminent end. So he gives him this cryptic verse instead of the plain truth.
Okay, so what were the key lines? Because you said they were specific, but also, well, vague.
They really were. The lines were, do not fight when encountering Gao, and return quickly when meeting Neng.
Gao and Neng, specific names, but no context.
Exactly. And the final part, look at the head of the golden rooster. When the swarm gathers, you will know the chant.
Wow. And how did Xuan Tianhua react?
Well, the source material explicitly notes that Xuan Tianhua, being young and heroic, did not take it to heart.
Ugh, that's the absolute tragedy of this whole epic, isn't it? He's basically handed his death notice in a poem, but his youth, his confidence, maybe just his sense of duty overrides that warning. He has the free will, technically, but the script's already written.
It really raises that fascinating question. Why even give the warning if it can't be avoided?
Yeah.
It seems the masters prioritize fate, playing out over, saving an individual life.
Right. Fate over preservation.
Yeah.
Okay, so we move from the heroic Xuan Tianhua to a very different kind of general, the much smaller but critical earth-traveling Tu Xingsun. What about his master, fearful Lu Sun?
His master's knowledge was even more precise and devastating. He knew Tu Xingsun would die, specifically at the hands of the Shang general Zhang Ku inside the pass.
Oof. So he also had to give a veiled warning.
He did, the same kind of coded message.
And what did that gatha say?
It warned him. Do not misuse the technique of earth travel for greed or anger. Pretty direct advice, actually.
Okay, that part's clear.
But then the imagery gets very bloody. A jumping roebuck bites once, and a fierce beast on the cliff wears red clothes.
Wow. That's undeniably a prophecy of a violent end, just wrapped in metaphor.
No mistaking it, really.
It's just fascinating how the spiritual world deals with these fated deaths, acknowledges them. But then the moment these guys step off the mountain, the focus shifts entirely.
Right, back to the mortal realm.
Yeah, back to ensuring the moral justification for the war is rock solid. This is where Ziya completely shifts gears.
Precisely. After getting the celestial perspective, Ziya returns to formalize the campaign with King Wu. You just can't launch a war this huge without a clear, high-minded political reason.
So Ziya gets dressed up, formal gold headdress, red robe, the whole deal, and presents this detailed memorial to King Wu. What was the core message beyond just, we need to fight?
It was pure divine mandate. And maybe some political spin, let's be honest. Okay, the justification was entirely rooted in heaven's will. King Shou of Shang is not respectful of heaven. He's licentious and immoral. He's committing slaughter against the innocent. All the greatest hits of tyranny.
You frame him as utterly evil.
Utterly. The memorial argues the suffering's gone on for 10 years, and this campaign isn't just conquest. It's the righteous, necessary response to this terrible evil.
So the political move is critical here. They're not just conquering Shang, they're exterminating evil for heaven. Does the source give any hints if King Wu or Jiang Ziya truly fully believed that? Or was it just the required rhetoric to unify everyone?
I think it had to be both, really. King Wu surely had vengeance and ambition driving him,
Sure.
but framing it as this cosmic crusade, approved by the immortals,
Yeah.
well, that makes it almost impossible for any feudal lord to say no, doesn't it?
Yeah, good point. Hard to argue with heaven.
The goal was stated clearly. They asked King Wu to lead personally, advance into the 5 passes quickly, meet the vassals, and basically observe government in Shang, implying takeover. King Wu was thrilled, approved it immediately.
Okay, let's unpack this massive organizational task then. Once the political and moral groundwork was laid, how do you even begin to manage 600,000 men? That number is just staggering.
It really is almost unbelievable for the era, 600,000. So Jiang Ziya used a drawing of 4 lots, specifically to assign the absolutely crucial vanguard positions.
Drawing lots,
Yeah.
not based on rank or experience.
It seems it was less about established hierarchy and more about immediate visible duty right at the front.
Yeah.
Maybe a way to manage egos too. Or perhaps fate again.
Interesting. And the assignments were a mix, right? Spiritual powerhouses and human warriors.
Correct. The first vanguard position. It went to Wang Tianhua,
The guy who just got his death prophecy.
the very same. Then the left detachment went to Nangong Shi, a loyal Zhu general. The right detachment to Guji, Jiang Ziya's own disciple. And the rear detachment was given to Neza.
Neza, the immortal troublemaker. Okay. But what about feeding and moving 600,000 people? That's often where ancient campaigns just fall apart. Who handled the logistics, the supply chain?
Also chosen by lot. 3 more generals were picked to be the absolutely vital grain and supply supervisors.
Okay, who got those jobs?
Yang Jian, another powerful immortal figure, was assigned first transport. And guess who got second transport?
Let me guess. Tu Xingsun.
Tu Xingsun himself, the fated man who tunnels underground.
That is genuinely bizarre.
Yeah.
A man destined for a violent end is put in charge of, like, the beans and fodder.
It really speaks to a kind of brutal pragmatism, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Use his skills until the moment fate calls. Zheng Lun, known for his mystical snorting technique, handled the third transport.
It's almost like Jiang Ziya believes the man's physical skills, his earth traveling, are useful right up until the precise second destiny intervenes.
Maybe so. And you have to look at the sheer complexity of the roster they were drawing from. It wasn't just Z loyalists.
Right, we're talking about the full might of generals loyal to Huang Feihu's clan who defected from Shang.
Exactly. Plus the renowned 4 sages and 8 heroes of Zhu. And crucially, defectors like Deng Zhugong and Su Hu, who were former Shang commanders.
So the Zhu army was this incredible melting pot of former enemies and longtime allies.
A real coalition force. And we can't forget the royal family's personal stake here. The source notes, King Wen originally had 99 sons, plus Lei Zhenzi making 100.
100 sons.
But here's the grim part. It specifies that of his 36 warrior sons who were actively fighting for the Zhu cause, 16 had already been killed in previous campaigns against the Shang.
Slight pause. Wow. 16 sons already lost.
Yeah.
That really puts King Wu's motivation into perspective, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It's not just politics, it's deeply personal, almost dynastic revenge. This campaign is his final all-in gamble.
And given those incredibly high stakes, Jiang Ziya knew that just having famous generals in huge numbers wasn't enough. The army needed tactical precision. Discipline.
Which brings us to that crucial test of discipline you mentioned.
Right. Jiang Ziya introduces something like a dozen complex military formations, these arrays, drawn from the ancient military text, 6 strategies, the Lu Tao.
These weren't just simple lines of soldiers, right? We're talking complex stuff like the 9 palaces, 8 trigrams array.
Exactly. Highly intricate maneuvers. He needed to see if these disparate generals in this enormous army could actually operate as a single flexible unit under pressure.
So how did he test them?
He tasked 3 very senior, very experienced generals, Wang Feihu, Deng Zhugong, and Hong Jin, with a specific drill. They had to practice the one-word long snake array.
Okay.
And then, on the signal, the sound of a cannon, they had to instantly transition into the even more complex 6 Jiya bewilderment array. Instantly.
And how did that go?
Well, the source says the transformation could not be completed in time.
Oh, failure. From 3 of his top guys. Jiang Ziya must have been displeased.
Displeased is putting it mildly. He was furious. He immediately summoned all 3 and reprimanded them harshly.
What was his main point? Just do better.
No, it was deeper than that. It wasn't just about tactical failure. He framed it as an ethical failure, negligence. He stressed that since the Eastern expedition faced a great enemy, failure due to poor training would be a disgrace to the commanding officer.
Shifting the blame upwards
Yes.
to himself, ultimately. Smart.
Very smart. He demanded they practice day and night until they got it right.
So was he testing the formation itself, or was he really testing their seriousness, their commitment, maybe even testing if they could defy destiny through sheer effort?
That's the core tension, isn't it?
It really crystallizes it. You have these prophecies hanging over them, but the general still has to drill the army relentlessly as if effort is all that matters.
Ziya operates entirely in the realm of human effort, it seems. Destiny might decide a general's end, but discipline, he believes, dictates the army's success. He's the ultimate pragmatist.
Okay, so the structure's firming up, the discipline is being tested. What were the final administrative steps before this massive force could actually march?
All right, the final logistical and political checks. King Wu needed to know who would run the state while he was away leading the army. A crucial question.
Who did Jiang Ziya recommend?
For internal affairs, managing the state domestically, he recommended Grandmaster Shang, someone trustworthy, stable.
Makes sense. And for military matters back home, external affairs?
That responsibility went to Elder General Huang, described as experienced, seasoned, capable of handling the state's heavy duties while the main force was gone. King Wu was apparently very satisfied with these choices.
Okay, state secured. Did King Wu need any other blessings?
Yes, he sought the blessing of the Grand Dowager, Taiji. She gave her full confidence, especially placing her trust in Jiang Ziya.
So all systems go.
All systems go. And then the ultimate moment arrives. The commitment is made. The 600,000 troops marched out of Western Qi.
When was this?
On the 24th day of the 3rd month, in the 30th year of King Zhu of Shang's reign. The source describes the departure as incredibly grand, a sea of banners, iron cavalry, King Wu himself leading from the front.
A real sense of divine authority.
Absolutely, with the assurance that heaven and earth are truly impartial, implying their cause was just. And suddenly, everything just stops.
Yeah, grinds to a halt. And why? Because two guys, Bo Yi and Shu Qi, are literally just standing in the road blocking the way.
Not soldiers.
No, not at all. They look completely different. Simple robes, hemp sandals, silk sashes. They look like scholars, like gentlemen philosophers.
And they're not armed.
Nope. Their challenge is purely about ideas, about philosophy. They demand to talk to King Wu and Ziya.
Okay, so what's their argument? What principle are they standing on, quite literally?
It boils down to absolute loyalty. The core idea is a son shouldn't talk about his father's faults. A minister shouldn't expose his lord's evils.
Wow.
Yeah, they're saying you just don't attack your ruler, even if he's terrible. The right thing to do, the highest loyalty, is to advise peacefully, try to reform things from within, not wage war.
So they're not defending King Zhu's actions. They're defending the idea of order, of the system itself.
Precisely. They even bring up the past. They remind King Wu, look, your own father served the Shang loyally. To attack now looks, well, it looks treacherous, opportunistic. And they pose this incredibly sharp question. If you, Zhu, really have this utmost virtue and benevolence you claim, shouldn't that goodness be strong enough to change the bad king? Why resort to violence if you're truly virtuous?
Oof, that's a heavy challenge. It attacks the very moral basis of the whole campaign. How does Ziya even respond to that? He can't just brush it off.
No, he can't. And he doesn't. He acknowledges their view but calls it one-sided. Ziya's brilliance here is shifting the definition of loyalty.
How so?
He moves it from loyalty owed by a minister up to a king to the loyalty a leader owes down to the people. He talks about the suffering masses, how they're basically sitting in water and fire, how society is falling apart.
Okay. So it's less about the ruler, more about the ruled.
Exactly. And this is where he drops that really famous line, the one that changes everything. Heaven sees through our people's sight. Heaven hears through our people's hearing.
Right. The mandate of heaven isn't just the king's anymore.
It's channeled through the people. So Ziya argues this war isn't disloyalty. It's actually carrying out heaven's judgment, which the people themselves are demanding through their suffering. If Zhu didn't act, that would be betraying heaven.
That's quite a reframing.
Yeah.
Revolutionary almost.
Yeah.
But Bo Yi and Shu Qi, they don't just accept this and step aside, do they?
Not a chance. They actually kneel down right in front of the war horses, grab the reins, physically stopping them. They accuse the leaders again, disloyal for attacking a lord, unfilial because King Wen isn't even properly buried yet. They warn this whole venture will make Zhu a laughingstock for future generations.
The soldiers must have been furious.
Oh yeah, they wanted to cut them down right there. But Ziya steps in immediately, and here's another clever move. He stops his men, and he calls Bo Yi and Shu Qi righteous men of the land. Jiang Ziya.
He calls them righteous,
Yeah.
even though they're actively trying to stop him.
Yes. He honors their commitment to their principle, even while rejecting their conclusion. By calling them righteous, Ziya shows everyone his troops, the watching world, that Zhu respects virtue, respects loyalty.
But that Zhu's definition of virtue right now involves saving the people.
Exactly. It subtly reinforces his own position while appearing magnanimous. He orders them escorted away, unharmed.
And their story doesn't end there, does it? It becomes this enduring tragedy.
Wait. They go into Shuyang Mountain, refuse to eat any grain grown under Zhu rule. Zhu millet, they call it. They live on ferns, singing this lament about loyalty and, well, they starve themselves to death, sticking to their principles.
It's a powerful, sobering story. A reminder that even a just war has profound costs. Okay, so the army gets past that moral hurdle, but now they immediately hit a physical one. They reach Jinjil and Golden Rooster Ridge, and bam, there's a big Shang force waiting.
Yeah, the mood shifts instantly. From philosophy back to cold, hard warfare, Ziya sends out his left flank commander, a guy named Nangongxi, to take them on.
And this first fight, it doesn't go well, does it?
It's a disaster, honestly.
Yeah.
Nangongxi fights the enemy general, Wei Ben, for about 30 rounds, but he's clearly outmatched. The text says he's sweating badly, a bad sign, and he gets captured alive.
Captured.
Yeah.
The first engagement. That's terrible for morale.
Awful. But then there's a twist. Wei Ben, the Shang general who just beat him, he lets Nangongxi go.
Lets him go. Why?
He just says he wants to talk to Jiang Ziya directly. That's it. Sends him back.
Okay, so Nangongxi comes back, defeated. Ziya must be furious.
Furious is an understatement. Ziya's reaction is incredibly harsh, almost shocking. He sees this initial failure as a huge blow to their momentum, their psychological edge. He says Nangongxi has first frustrated our sharpness.
And what does it do?
He orders Nangongxi bound and taken outside the camp to be executed immediately.
Executed for losing one fight.
Yes. It seems brutal, but Ziya is sending a message. In this campaign, at this critical stage, failure is simply not an option. There's no room for error.
But is it just punishment? Or is Ziya playing a deeper game here?
Oh, it's almost certainly calculated. Think about it. This public display of absolute intolerance for failure, this ruthlessness, who might be watching?
Wei Ben, the general who wanted to talk.
Exactly. Just as they're about to execute Nangongxi, Wei Ben shouts from outside the gates, "Hold the sword!" He says he has secret matters to discuss.
So Ziya lets him in.
Oh, he does more than that. Ziya stages a performance. He marches out with his elite guard, but also showcases his biggest hitters, Neza, on his windfire wheels, Le Zinzi, the thunder god, Wei Hu. It's this overwhelming display of power, discipline, and, well, divine backing.
Showing Wei Ben what he'd be up against.
Yeah.
Or what he could join.
Precisely. And Wei Ben sees it all, the order, the power, the Xinglong Ziza, the auspicious sign of their rise. He gets it. He realizes Zhu is going to win. He immediately dismounts, bows low, and announces he wants to defect to serve Zhu. Just like that.
Wow. So Ziya turned a potentially disastrous defeat into a major recruitment victory. What happens to Nangongxi then? Does Wei Ben ask for his life?
He does, and Ziya grants it. He spins the whole thing beautifully. He says Wei Ben's surrender turns the initial bad situation into an overall auspicious sign, Xiong Haoji, first ominous, then lucky.
Clever. So Nangongxi lives.
He lives, but he's demoted. He becomes just a regular general under Ziya's direct command. And Wei Ben, the defector, Ziya immediately makes him the new left flank commander, gives him the official seal and everything.
Talk about a shakeup. It shows Ziya values competence and seizing opportunity above almost anything else, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Loyalty is good, past service is noted, but right now, proven ability and contributing to victory, that's what gets you promoted.
Okay, so Ziya's shown he can handle moral dilemmas and military setbacks with ruthless pragmatism. But news travels. Back in Zhaoge, the Shang capital, King Zhu hears about his general Zhang Shan dying, and now another commander, Hong Jin, defecting. Things are looking bad.
Yeah, the conventional approach clearly isn't working against Zhu, and this is where a key advisor, Fei Lian, steps in. He tells King Zhu something crucial. He points out that Jiang Ziya isn't just some clever general. He's a Kunlun Zushu Zishi, a Kunlun Taoist master.
Ah, That changes the game, doesn't it? What does that mean in practical terms?
It means Ziya has access to powerful, organized magic. He's got disciples who can wield supernatural forces. Fei Lian basically says, Your Majesty, you can't beat this guy with regular soldiers anymore. You need a specialist.
A magical countermeasure, like fighting fire with fire, literally perhaps.
Exactly. And Fei Lian knows just the man, Kong Xuan, the commander at Sanchuan Pass. He recommends him specifically because Kong Xuan is a master of the 5 elements Taoist arts, the Daoshu.
The 5 elements: earth, wood, water, fire, metal. Why is that specific skill set needed against Kunlun magic?
Because the Kunlun tradition often involves manipulating natural forces, energy, qi. The 5 element system, the Wuxing, is seen as the fundamental framework for understanding and, crucially, controlling or neutralizing those very forces. Kong Xuan is basically the Shang's best bet for someone who can go toe-to-toe with Ziya's magical backup on their own terms.
Okay, so King Zhu must jump at this, right?
Immediately. He issues a royal decree giving Kong Xuan incredible power, a ceremonial axe, a banner, special flags, full authority to capture King Wu and Jiang Ziya, bypass the normal chain of command, and basically pacify the West, take charge.
And Kong Xuan accepts.
Without hesitation, he mobilizes a huge army, 100,000 troops, and heads out. He meets up with Han Rong, the governor at Sishui Pass, and he sounds supremely confident.
Oh, what does he say?
He pretty much dismisses Ziya's successes so far. He vows he will surely capture Jifa King Wu and his ministers. He knows this isn't about standard battles anymore. It's about taking out the leadership, likely using his special skills.
So he's not planning on just holding a defensive line.
Not at all. He marches his massive force straight to Jinjiling, the exact place Ziya just had his victory and recruited Wei Ben. Kong Xuan sets up his own huge camp right there, ready for a direct confrontation.
Wow. The moral argument is done, the initial military tests are passed, and now the conflict escalates to a whole new level. It's magic versus magic.